Continue the 29th chapter of the book of Isaiah of Yeshayah. Yeshayah now is going to talk to the people in Jerusalem, in Yerushalayim. Hoi, Ariel, Ariel, Kiryat Chana David, Sfu Shanal Shana Chagim Yin Kofu. So he says, Ariel, Ariel. What is Ariel? Ariel, El, God, the line of God, something that crouches up from God. What it refers to is the city of Jerusalem, of Yerushalayim. And we know it refers to the city of Yerushalayim because what does it say? The place where Chana, like a Machana, the place where David encamped. But what is he saying? Let the festivals happen for a couple of years, and then things are going to get bad. The Hatzikoti la Ariel, I will harass Ariel. By the way, just an aside, we'll get there. In the book of Yechezkel, Ariel is the term that's used for the Mizbeach in Yerushalayim to refer to the Mizbeach. It's Ariel. So there are different traditions, exactly what it refers to, but it's definitely, Yerushalayim, Jerusalem based, if you want to put it as such. So I will harass Ariel. V'haita tonia v'onia v'haita li ka'Ariel. And there will be sorrow and sighing. Those are words that actually are used also in Eicha, in the book of Lamentation. That will be what Ariel is to me. V'chaniti kadur alayich, and I will have a siege round. The kadur, right, is the ball. So there'll be like a ball around it. V'tzarti alayich mutzav v'kimoti alayich mitsurot. And I will set up siege works against you. V'shafalta me'eretz tidabri, ume'afar tisach imratech. And you will speak low from the ground. You will be humble, more humble than Sod. V'haya ka'ov me'eretz kolech ume'afar imratech titzaftzef. And your speech will be very, very low, like a ghost, like a dead person. Your voice will chirp like it's coming from the Sod. You won't be able to hear it. People are going to be scared. People are going to be terrified. Okay, it sounds like you're almost like you're dead. And v'haya ka'avak dak hamon zaraich, and like fine dust will be the many strangers. Over hamon aritzim v'haita lefeta pitom, and like flying shaf, the tyrants. And suddenly, in an instant, in verse 6, Me'im Adonai tzvot tipaked baramu v'rash gadol, v'kol gadol sufo saro lahav eishochla. God will be remembered, the God of hosts, with roaring and shaking and deafening noise, storm, a tempest, a blaze, a consuming fire. V'haya kechalom chazon laila, hamon kol hagayim hatzovim al Ariel v'chol tzoveh u'mitzdata v'mitzikim la. And like a dream, like a vision at night, all of the nations who have come to wage war, their armies are there surrounding Ariel. All those who laid siege, all those who made that kadur, that ball around her, all those who harassed her. Vaya kasher yachalom arav v'nei ochel ve'kitz v'reika nafsho v'chasher yachalom atzameh v'nei shotev ve'kitz v'nei ayef v'nafsho shokeka ken yamon kol hagoyim atzovim al har Tzion. They'll be like somebody who is hungry, ra'ev, and is dreaming of eating, but when he wakes up, he'll be hungry. Somebody who is thirsty and is dreaming of a nice drink. It's like it's Tisha B'Av, right? But when he wakes up, he'll be faint, utterly parched. That's what's going to happen to those nations that are around Jerusalem. That's what's going to happen to them. They will wake up and they will be hungry. They will disappear. And this is seemingly referring to the time of Chizkiyahu. We've said many times it's the major event. There are other major events, but one of the major events, I should say, of the life of Yeshayah, the life of Chizkiyahu, when Sancheirav and his armies surrounded Jerusalem, and it looked like they would take them, and then the miracle of them being destroyed overnight and running away from God, and that's what's going to happen to them. And so that's what Yeshayah is telling them to do. And again, this comes back to one of the themes. We'll see this. The people want to make treaties with Mitzrayim. They want to make treaties with all the other nations. And Yeshayah over and over again says, only one treaty, the treaty with God. All you have to depend upon is God. Continuing in verse 9, Hitma mehu utimahu hishta'ashishu v'sho'u Sachru v'lo yayin na'u v'lo shechar. So act, right? It's like you are blinded. It's like you are drunk, but there is no wine. You're staggering, but not from liquor. If you remember in the last chapter, we talked about the people drinking and being the leaders drinking and being confused. And Yeshayah refers to this, and now he's saying you guys are like it's like you're blinded. It's like you don't understand anything. It's like you're drunkard, but you're not drunk. Why? Because God has spread over you a spirit of deep sleep. We have the word tardema used. Tardema is the word that's used back when Adam is surgery's done upon him and his rib is taken out and a woman is made from him. It's used when God shows Avraham the Brit Bein Abitarim, the covenant of the parts, where he tells him your ancestors will go down to Egypt and they will be afflicted and then they'll come back. So it represents this sort of this very, very deep sleep where you don't see anything. So God has put you in this deep sleep and has shut your eyes. And he covered your head. And so it's not clear here. What it means is that the people, the prophets, right? There are a lot of false prophets at these times. There are people, we'll see it more during the days of Yirmiyahu with the false prophets versus him, more than during this book in Yeshayah. But it could be referring to the false prophets that God has sort of shut their eyes, or it could refer to that the people's eyes are shut to the prophecies of Yeshayah. Different ways of sort of understanding what this verse might mean and might be saying to us. Either way, going on to the next verse. Vatihi lachem chazut hakol kedivrei hasefer hechatum asher yitnu oto el yodea sefer lemor kra nazev yomar lo uchal ki chatumhu. All the prophecy that's been given to you are like the words of a document that is chatum. Think of Yom Kippur, right? That only during the Elah we say chatum, right? That the thing should be sealed, that our judgment should be a good judgment, should be sealed, which and it's handed to one who is Yodea Sefer, somebody who knows about reading, somebody who knows text. And we tell him, read it. But he says, I can't read it. It's sealed, it's closed, right? You're not understanding anything that I'm saying to you. It's like everything is closed to you. You can't figure it out. That's what's happening. It should be in front of your eyes. I'm trying to say to it, but you are like somebody who can't open it. V'nitana sefer ala sher lo yada sefer lemor kranazeh v'amar lo yadati sefer. It's as if the document was handed to somebody who was illiterate, and the person will say, "I can't read." That's what the person will say. You can't understand the message that I'm giving you, God's message, the message of prophecy, the message of relying upon God rather than Mitzrayim or the other nations, or giving up, as he talked about many chapters ago. Vayomer Adonai, Yan ki nigash ha'am hazeh befiv uv'sfatav kivduni v'libo richak mimeni v'tihi yiratam oti mitzvat anashim milumda. And what did God say to Yeshayah? He says, the people came to me, right? They honored me with their lips. They had listened to what I said. They brought the sacrifices. They didn't, they didn't do borer. They didn't separate do the malachot that they're prohibited on Shabbat, because they did these things, but they didn't use their hearts, right? They showed me their honor with their mouth, but not in reality, not with their hearts, not with their lave, their libo rachak mimeni. Their hearts are far, their hearts are distant, their hearts are not involved. There's a line in the, I think it's in the Zohar, Rachmana liba bai. God wants the lave, God wants the heart. God wants not just doing the actions, but God wants the intention along with that action. And therefore, what does God describe them as? They are mitzvat anashim milumada. They are like a people who do things by rote. Interesting words that it says here in my English, a social obligation. This phrase, mitzvat anashim milumada, is a phrase that's used oftentimes in terms of the performance of mitzvot and oftentimes the difficulty of mitzvot, not just in this book here, but generally. It's hard to have so much kavanah when you daven 3 times a day and you say the same thing over and over again. It's hard to do. I had one teacher who said to me, it's like baseball. If you're a 300 hitter, you have good kavanah, you have good intention towards God 300% of the time, that's amazing. Nobody's hitting 400 anymore. You got to go back to Ted Williams. He had the best kavanah, right? Nobody. I guess there's that guy this year in Miami. I don't know his name, but it's very hard to have that intention, to have that, because you just do it and you do it again and you do it by road and you do it again. And Yeshayah is saying that's the wrong way. You won't have this connection with God. God, Rahmana Liba, God wants the heart. God doesn't want you to just bring your sacrifice because it's an obligation. Wants to know that the sacrifice, the intent is positive and is going to have a meaningful impact upon you. Lachain, we're continuing in verse 14. Hineni Yosif lafli ta amazeh haflei vafela v'avda chochmat chachamav uvinat nevonav tatar. Therefore, I will continue to baffle these people. You see the word pella a couple times here. It means a wonder or a baffle. And it's going to be wonder and wonder. It's going to confuse them even more. Their wisdom will fail. Their prudence, their ability to figure out things will vanish, will be hidden. Things that they should know will be obscure. They won't be able to figure them out and figure out what it is that they need to do. They're not going to understand it, and therefore they will suffer. Hoy, hama'amakim me'Adonai l'stor eitzah. Those who have hid their plans deep from God. B'haya b'machshach ma'aseyem vayomru miro einu umiodenu. And the people who do their stuff in hidden places, and they say, who sees us? Who takes note of us? Right? People who sin. It sounds to people who sin deep in their hearts, or when they think they're hidden, they think God's not looking, right? They publicly, they show one way, in private, they act a different way, different ways of understanding this verse. This is so strange of you. It's like hafuch, it's like the opposite, perverse. Should the potter be accounted as the clay? Do you think God is like the clay? The clay can't move. God is the potter. If you remember the piyut from Yom HaKippurim, when we talk about God, we talk about one of the images of God is from this verse. God is like a chomer. God is like the is like the yotzer. God is the potter who creates us. And so here, what do you think? God's clay? God's like an idol, can't understand that you're tricking him. Can you say this of your maker? Can you say this to God? You can say, God didn't make me. God didn't form me. You don't understand. God doesn't understand. Of course, God understands. Hello, od ma'at mizar v'shav levanon lekarmel v'karmel layar yechashed. In just a little while, Lebanon will be transformed into farmlands, and farmland will be mere brush. There's going to be destruction, right? It's easy for God to destroy the great forests of Lebanon. That's what he's saying here. V'shamu bayomahu hacher shim divrei sefer. And in that day, those people who are cheresh, they're deaf, even to written words. They can't hear, they can't see. It's one thing if you don't hear somebody, but if you see it in front of your eyes, you should believe it. Ume ofel, ume choshech einei ivrim tirena. And the blind, the eyes of the blind shall see even in darkness and in obscurity, right? The people who stay with God, they'll see even in darkness, and the people who can't listen, they won't even be able to see what's right in front of them. V'yasvu anavim b'Adonai simcha. And those who are anav, those who are humble with God, they will increase their joy because things will turn out good for them. Ve'vyonei adam b'kdosh Yisrael yagilu. And the neediest of people, again, the people where he's assuming are trusting in God, they will rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. Ki afes aritz v'chala leitz, because the tyrants will be no more. I think he was referring to as well to Sancherev. People don't trust him. No, trust in God. Trust it. God will make it okay. It's going to be okay. V'nichrotu kol shoktei evan. And those who are diligent for evil will be wiped out. Those who cause people to lose their lawsuits, right? Who are tricking, who lie a snare, a trap for the judge at the gate, and they do falsehood, and so the person who is in the right, judgment will not go his way. Therefore, God says to Jacob, who redeemed Abraham. God who redeemed Abraham says to the house of Jacob. Jacob is right at the beginning of, in a sense, Bnei Yisrael, the father of Israel, so the many nations of Israel. No more shall Jacob be shamed. No longer will his face be embarrassed. Kivro to yiladav maseh yadai bikirbo yakdishu et shmi. Because when his kids see what my hand can do, if they understand it's not just clay, but there is a potter, what's going to happen? Then they will look at my name and they will understand that it is holy, that it is special, and they will stand in awe of God. And those who are confused, they will acquire insight. And those who in the past have complained, they will accept the instruction that God is giving to them. They'll finally understand the words of God. And this is presupposed by the idea that they are trusting in God. And so here, this is a difficult prophecy that Yeshayah is giving to the people, right? He's telling them and it's not clear if this is being told to them while Sancheriv and his army is around the city, or it's told to them a different time, but he's telling them, don't worry about Sancheriv, don't ask the Egyptians for help, don't try to find the weapons. We had it many chapters ago. They said, whoa, if we can only have the weapons that Shlomo hid outside the city, all of these swords, just trust in God. It's a hard prophecy to listen to. Just trust in God, right? But he's telling them, and maybe it was a little different in the age of the prophets, that if they do that, then God will reward them, and the people will, and then they will see the wisdom. You think that we're blind, but no. Right in front of us is God's miracles, and that will save Jerusalem from Sancheriv and his marauding armies.